My son had been working abroad for 4 years. Or at least, that is the lie I had trusted with every fiber of my being. Monica, my daughter-in-law, painted a picture of success and international acclaim. She told me Ronald was in Berlin, then London, climbing the corporate ladder, too busy with mergers to call home. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that my boy was living the life he had always dreamed of. But one rainy Tuesday, outside the old hardware store in Ashwood, everything shattered. A delivery associate, a man I had never seen before, bumped into me. He didn't apologize. Instead, he shoved a heavy tape-wrapped parcel into my chest. "Are you Anderson? Ronald's father?" he hissed, his eyes darting toward the parking lot entrance. When I nodded, confused and startled, he gripped my arm. "I can't hold on to this anymore. Watch it alone. Don't let her see." Before I could ask a single question, he vanished into the gray drizzle. I stood there, the damp cardboard soaking into my jacket, feeling the weight of a secret I wasn't ready to carry. Before I reveal what was inside that parcel and how it dismantled my entire reality, I need you to do something for me. I need to know I'm not shouting into the void. Tell me in the comments where you are watching this from and what time it is there. It helps ground me to know real people are listening. If you believe that the truth is worth fighting for, no matter the cost, please hit the like button to support this story. And if you know someone who needs to hear that they aren't alone in their family struggles, share this with them. Finally, if you want to follow this journey of justice, subscribe now. We are about to walk down a dark road together. I drove back to the farmhouse in a daze. The wipers slapped against the glass, mimicking the frantic rhythm of my heart. This house, which Thelma and I had bought 30 years ago, usually felt like a sanctuary. Today, the silence inside felt heavy, like the air before a thunderstorm. I placed the parcel on the mahogany dining table, the same table where Ronald used to do his homework, where we had celebrated Christmases and birthdays. My hands were trembling so badly, I could barely work the scissors. I cut through the layers of tape and brown paper. Inside, there was no bomb, no weapon, just a simple black flash drive and a single printed photograph. I picked up the photo, and the air left my lungs. It was Ronald. But it wasn't the Ronald I imagined, wearing a tailored suit in a German boardroom. He looked gaunt, his skin sallow and gray. He was holding a local newspaper from 3 days ago. He was standing against a sterile, white brick wall. His eyes, usually so full of life and mischief, looked dead, hollow. It was the look of a man who had forgotten what hope felt like. He wasn't abroad. He wasn't in Europe. The background was unmistakably institutional, cold and harsh. My blood went pale. The lie Monica had fed me for 4 years didn't just unravel. It disintegrated. My son was not successful. He was a prisoner. Beneath the photograph lay a folded letter. The handwriting was jagged, hurried, as if written on a knee in a moving vehicle. It read, "Mr. Anderson, my name is Tobias. I work for Speedy Logistics. For the last 18 months, I've been running a route to a private facility called Serenity Hills, just 40 miles from here. I saw your son in the courtyard. I know him from high school. He saw me too." I had to sit down. Serenity Hills. It was a high-security mental health facility, the kind of place where people were sent to be forgotten. Tobias's letter continued. He managed to slip me a note through the fence during a delivery drop-off. "He's not crazy, sir. But she has everyone thinking he is." I've been delivering packages from your daughter-in-law to the administrator there. Cash payments. I can't do this anymore. My conscience is eating me alive. The flash drive contains what I could copy from the front desk computer when the receptionist was on break. Be careful. These people are dangerous. I looked at the flash drive. It sat on the table like a venomous insect. Monica had told me Ronald was unreachable because of security clearance issues with his firm. I had trusted her. I had defended her when neighbors asked why Ronald never visited. I had been a fool. I retrieved Thelma's old laptop from the study. It took a moment to boot up, the fan whirring loudly in the quiet house. I plugged in the drive. A folder popped up named simply, Evidence. My finger hovered over the mouse. I was afraid of what I would find, but the image of Ronald's haunted eyes pushed me forward. I clicked. There were video files, security footage. But it wasn't from the facility. It was from my house. My stomach turned. The timestamp was from 6 months ago, a day I remembered clearly because I had gone fishing with an old friend. On the screen, Monica let herself in through the back door. She wasn't visiting. She moved with predatory precision. She went straight to Thelma's old filing cabinet. She was wearing latex gloves. I watched, frozen in horror, as my daughter-in-law rifled through my deceased wife's financial records, photographing deeds, bank statements, and insurance policies. She wasn't just checking up on me. She was auditing me. She was hunting for something. The video cut to another date, then another. Systematically, over the last 2 years, Monica had been invading my home, cataloging my assets while I was out, all while smiling to my face and telling me how much Ronald missed me from abroad. I opened the next file. It was a PDF, a medical admission report for Serenity Hills. Patient, Ronald James. Admitted, 4 years, 1 month ago. Guardian, Monica James. Condition, early onset paranoid schizophrenia with violent tendencies. I read the words, but they didn't make sense. Ronald had never shown a sign of mental illness in his life. The date of admission was exactly 2 days after he was supposed to have boarded a flight to Berlin. She hadn't just lied. She had erased him. She had locked him away in a chemical prison while she played the grieving, supportive wife to the world. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. I had lost 4 years with my son. 4 years of his life stolen. 4 years of my granddaughter and grandson growing up without their father, thinking he had abandoned them for a job. This is the moment where you realize that evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like family. It looks like the people you invite to Sunday dinner. If you have ever felt the cold sting of betrayal, or if you believe that families should protect one another rather than prey on one another, please subscribe to this channel. Don't do it for me. Do it as a pledge that you will never turn a blind eye to the truth, no matter how painful it is. Join us, and let's bring this into the light together. The next morning, the phone rang. It was Monica. Her voice was chirpy, light, completely at odds with the monster I had watched on the screen the night before. Dad, I'm coming by with Leo and Sophie. They miss their grandpa. I gripped the receiver until my knuckles turned white. That sounds wonderful, Monica, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I'll make lunch. When she arrived, she looked impeccable in a beige trench coat, her hair perfectly styled. The children ran to me, hugging my legs. Leo, now 7, looked so much like Ronald, it hurt to look at him. Sophie, 9, was quieter, clutching a sketchbook. While the kids played in the living room, Monica leaned against the kitchen counter, watching me chop vegetables. So, Anderson, she started, casually inspecting her fingernails. Ronald called the other night. The connection was terrible. But he mentioned something about Thelma's old trust documents. He thinks there might be some tax implications for the kids' college funds. He asked if you could dig them up for me to review. The audacity was breathtaking. She was lying about speaking to a man she had imprisoned just to get access to the one thing she hadn't found during her break-ins. I kept chopping the carrots. The rhythm of the knife hitting the board, echoing the pounding in my head. I'm not sure where Thelma kept those, Monica. You know she handled all the paperwork. I'd have to look. I lied. I knew exactly where they were. Thelma had been a woman of intuition. A month before she passed, she had moved all the critical documents, the ranch deed, the life insurance, the trust fund details, out of the house. She had rented a safety deposit box at First National in the next town over, giving me the key and making me swear to never tell Monica about it. She's hungry, Anderson, Thelma had whispered from her hospital bed. She looks at what we have like she's already spent it. I had dismissed it as the medication talking. Now, looking at Monica's shark-like smile in my kitchen, I realized Thelma had seen the truth years ago. Well, if you find them, let me know, Monica said, her eyes scanning the room, likely calculating what else she could liquidate. It's for the children, of course. I forced a smile. Of course. As soon as she left, taking my oblivious grandchildren with her, I grabbed my coat. I was going to the bank. The bank vault was cold and smelled of dust and old paper. The clerk left me alone in a small viewing room with a long metal box. My hands shook as I lifted the lid. Inside, beneath the property deeds, was an envelope with my name on it in Thelma's elegant script. To my husband, open only if things go wrong. I tore it open. Anderson, if you are reading this, my fears were justified. I've set up the estate so that if anything happens to Ronald, or if he is incapacitated, control does not go to his spouse. It reverts to a blind trust managed by you for the children. Monica cannot touch the principal. But you must be strong. She will not stop. Protect our son. Protect our home. Tears blurred my vision. Thelma had built a fortress from the grave. But a legal document wouldn't get Ronald out of that facility. It wouldn't undo the 4 years of torture he had endured. I needed help. I needed someone who could fight a war that wasn't fought with paperwork, but with dirt and blood. I drove straight to the city to see Silas Reed. He was an old-school attorney, the kind who wore rumpled suits and smelled of cigar smoke, but he had a mind like a steel trap. He had handled Thelma's estate. When I laid out the photos, the letter from Tobias, and the medical report, Silas went silent. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, even though it was barely noon. This is bad, Anderson, Silas grunted, looking at the admission date. She has power of attorney. She declared him incompetent. To undo this, we have to prove fraud, and we have to prove he is sane. But as long as he is in Serenity Hills, she controls the doctors. She controls the narrative. If we file a motion, she'll know we're coming. She could move him, or worse. What do you mean, worse? I asked, feeling the whiskey burn my throat. Silas looked me in the eye. If he dies, she gets everything through the kids. She's the guardian. The trust protects the assets from her directly. But as the children's mother, she'd have de facto control if Ronald is gone. You are walking a razor's edge here. We need a ghost, Silas said, sliding a business card across the desk. Jackson Cole, private investigator. He used to be a federal agent until he got tired of the red tape. He's expensive and he's not polite, but he gets results. I took the card. The name was embossed in black. I met Jackson in a diner on the outskirts of Oak Ridge. He was a mountain of a man, with scars on his knuckles and eyes that seemed to record everything. He listened without interrupting as I told him the story. When I mentioned Serenity Hills, his expression darkened. I know the place. It's a hole. A few years back, a journalist named Sarah tried to expose their billing practices. She died in a hit and run 2 weeks later. Case never solved. My blood ran pale. You think they killed her? Jackson shrugged. I think people who steal millions in assets don't like loose ends. If I take this, we do it my way. Burner phones, cash only. No police until we have the smoking gun. If they smell a rat, your son will never see daylight again. The next few weeks were a nightmare of paranoia. Jackson began surveillance on the facility, while I had to play the role of the oblivious grandfather. Monica came by twice more, becoming increasingly aggressive about the missing documents. She brought papers for me to sign, authorizations for minor medical procedures for the kids, she claimed. I took pictures of them and sent them to Silas. Don't sign, Silas texted back immediately. Buried in the fine print is a clause that grants her access to your medical records. She's trying to build a case against you, Anderson. She wants to prove you're senile so she can take over the executorship of the trust. She was fighting a war on 2 fronts, keeping Ronald imprisoned and trying to commit me. I looked at the papers, then at Monica. I'll have to read these over with my reading glasses, dear. Leave them here. Her eyes narrowed, a flash of pure malice crossing her face before she masked it with a sigh. You're getting so forgetful, Anderson. It worries me. 2 days later, I found a dead crow on my doorstep. It could have been nature, but the way its neck was broken felt deliberate. Then came the text message from an unknown number. Stop asking questions about the past, or you won't have a future. I showed it to Jackson. They're spooked, Jackson said, sitting in his unmarked van filled with monitors. Tobias must have talked to someone else, or they found out he leaked the info. He paused. We need an inside man. I've been tracking the staff. There's a nurse, Elena. She's been there 6 months. She's got a disabled daughter and lots of debt. But she goes to church 3 times a week. She has a conscience. I'm going to approach her. I waited in the van, watching the gray walls of Serenity Hills. My son was in there. I imagined him looking out a window, wondering if I had forgotten him. Hold on, Ronald, I whispered. I'm coming. Jackson was right about Elena. She met us in a park 3 towns over, wearing a hoodie and sunglasses. She was terrified. If Dr. Sterling finds out I'm talking to you, I'm dead, she said, her hands shaking as she lit a cigarette. Sterling is the medical director. He signs whatever Monica pays him to sign. Is Ronald crazy? I asked, my voice cracking. Elena shook her head vigorously. No, he's depressed. He's sedated heavily. But when the drugs wear off, he's sharp. He begs us to call you. He recites your phone number every single day, like a prayer. Sterling has strict orders. No outgoing calls, no visitors, high-dose antipsychotics. She reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of papers. These are the billing records. Monica pays the premium package, $22,000 a month. But here's the kicker. The logs show no therapy, no specialized care. It's just warehousing. And she's paying Sterling a consulting fee on the side. It's bribery. We had the financial motive. We had the testimony of sanity. But we needed Ronald to be seen. Silas explained the strategy. We force a competency hearing. We drop the evidence of fraud on the judge. But Monica will fight to keep him out of the courtroom. She'll claim he's too unstable to travel. "We need proof of life," Jackson said. "Proof of lucidity." Elena agreed to help one last time. She smuggled in a small digital recorder. Her plan was to get Ronald to speak, to answer specific questions that only a sane man could answer, and to record the date. The wait was agonizing. 24 hours felt like 10 years. When Jackson finally played the recording for me, I wept. "Dad?" Ronald's voice was raspy, thick with sedation, but undeniably him. "It's me. I didn't go to Berlin. She drugged my coffee the morning I was supposed to leave. I woke up here. I love you. Kiss the kids for me. Don't give up." Monica, sensing she was losing control, tried a Hail Mary. She invited me over for a video update with Ronald's doctors. She wanted to show me how sick he was, to lay the groundwork for my own incompetency hearing. I went, wired with a microphone Jackson had taped to my chest. The doctor, Sterling, was on the screen. He looked polished and slick. "Ronald is deteriorating," he lied smoothly. Then they showed Ronald. He was in a wheelchair, looking slumped. But as the camera zoomed in, Ronald looked directly at the lens. He tapped his chest 3 times with 2 fingers. It was our signal. Since he was a boy, whenever he was scared but trying to be brave, he would tap his chest. "I'm still here." Monica didn't see it. She was too busy feigning tears. "See, Dad? It's hopeless." I looked at her, fighting the urge to strangle her. "We'll see, Monica. We'll see." The morning of the filing, tragedy struck. Jackson called me at 4 a.m. "Tobias is dead." The delivery associate who had started it all, his van had gone off a bridge. Police were calling it an accident, claiming he fell asleep at the wheel. "It wasn't an accident," I said, the cold dread pooling in my stomach. "They're cleaning house." "We move now," Jackson said, his voice hard as granite. "Silas is filing the emergency motion for a habeas corpus hearing this morning. We aren't waiting for the perfect moment. We're out of time." The stakes had shifted from financial fraud to life and death. If we failed, Ronald was dead. If we failed, I was dead. The courtroom was imposing, filled with the heavy silence of judgment. Monica sat with a team of expensive lawyers. She looked confident, radiating the aura of a concerned wife dealing with a senile father-in-law. Her lawyer, a shark named Baxter, stood up. "Your Honor," Baxter boomed, "this motion is ridiculous. Mr. Anderson is elderly and confused. He is grieving his wife and has fixated on a conspiracy theory to cope. His son is severely mentally ill. Moving him would be detrimental to his health." Silas stood up, slow and deliberate. "Your Honor, we are not here to debate Mr. Anderson's mental state. We are here to present evidence of kidnapping, fraud, and unlawful imprisonment." The judge, a stern woman named Judge Holloway, raised an eyebrow. "Kidnapping? That is a strong word, Counselor." "We call it what it is," Silas said. He plugged in his laptop. "Exhibit A." The screens in the courtroom flickered to life. The video of Monica breaking into my home played. The silence in the room was absolute. Monica's composure cracked. She whispered furiously to Baxter. "Exhibit B," Silas continued. "Financial records showing payments from Monica James to Dr. Sterling's personal offshore account." The room buzzed. Baxter jumped up. "Objection. This is unverified." "And finally," Silas roared, overriding him, "the testimony of the patient himself." He played the audio recording Elena had smuggled out. Ronald's voice filled the room, clear and heartbreaking. "She drugged my coffee. I woke up here." Judge Holloway looked at Monica, her eyes narrowing into slits. "Ms. James, is this your husband's voice?" Monica stayed silent, her face pale as a sheet. "I want the patient brought here," Judge Holloway ordered. "Immediately. Send the sheriff's transport, not private medical." 2 hours later, the doors opened. Ronald was wheeled in. He looked thin, frail, but his eyes were blazing. He saw me and a smile broke through the pain. He took the stand. It wasn't the rambling of a madman. It was the precise, angry testimony of a man who had lost 4 years of his life. He detailed the drugs, the isolation, the threats. Then Jackson played his ace card. The recording from my wire during the video call with Monica. Her voice, captured clearly in her own living room before the call started. "If he doesn't sign the papers soon, Sterling needs to up the dosage. I can't wait for him to die of natural causes." The courtroom erupted. Monica tried to run. The bailiffs were on her before she reached the aisle. The fallout was swift. Monica was arrested and charged with fraud, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder. Dr. Sterling turned state's evidence to save his own skin, exposing the entire rot of Serenity Hills. It was shut down, and dozens of other patients were released to their families. Ronald moved back to the ranch with Leo and Sophie. It wasn't an instant happy ending. He had nightmares. He flinched at loud noises. The kids were confused, having to unlearn the lies their mother had fed them. But we were together. We spent long evenings on the porch, just sitting in the silence, grateful for the freedom to breathe. One night, looking at the stars, Ronald reached over and squeezed my hand. "You came for me," he said. "You didn't trust the lie." "I trusted my son," I replied. This story ends here, but for many, the nightmare continues. There are people right now locked away by greed and malice, waiting for someone to notice they are gone. Justice isn't a passive act. It's a choice you make every day to protect those you love. If you believe that family is worth fighting for, if you believe that no one should be forgotten, make a commitment right now. Subscribe to this channel, not for entertainment, but as a promise to yourself that you will be the one who asks the hard questions. You will be the one who doesn't look away. Welcome to the family.